Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the 5th out of 6 cups for the summer season, the 11th out of 12 cups for the entire year. We're very much approaching the end of the Arena World Championship season here, and I mean, we just saw a pretty big upset. Changed My Mind eliminated by Wildcard Gaming. Wildcard Gaming have been struggling the entirety of the summer season to beat these Rogue Mage teams. Now they seem to have found something. They lost narrowly to Diabolus on Friday. Now they're able to beat Change My Mind. We're going to see our next 2 Rogue Mages playing it out. It's Method Black against Diabolus, and these two have really been the cream of the crop. They've been the ones dominating. Method Black have qualified to BlizzCon. They're sitting in first. Diabolus shortly behind them in second place in the summer season. And this meta has played very much to their strength since they have been kind of relying on that Rogue Mage pretty much the entire year.
Yeah, I feel like it has, but at the same time, I feel like Method Black has always had a good comp in the meta. And one thing we don't really talk about anymore is the fact that Swapsy is just chilling on the bench for Method Black. And in spring, Swapsy was basically playing every game, whereas Waz was the one on the bench a lot of the time. So it just feels like they're a versatile roster who has a lot of different options to go with, but right now it's all about the Rogue Mage, and they seem to be the best at it, consistently winning. And I mean, this is a repeat, like you mentioned already, from the grand finals, so this could potentially be you know, a little teaser for what's to come later, because Diabolus has already beaten Wildcard Gaming's Warrior Mage Druid one time, so if they drop to the lower bracket, they could be facing them again.
Yeah, you guys in the chat, actually a fairly decent split, very similar to what we have on the desk. On the desk, 3 of us thought Method Black would win this tournament. Then Riki wanted to kind of go against it a little bit, say Diabolus would win, and you guys in the chat are voting in a similar way. 76% of you, I believe it was, voting for Method Black, 24 for Diabolus. So, I mean, it's going to be close. As we said, it took 7 games to separate these 2 teams in the grand final last week. Now they play against each other once again. Diabolus didn't get too much practice going into last week. They've had even the tournament games, even if that's all they've had, it's going to be a lot better for them now.
Well, someone had to go against the grain. Someone had to try to make it interesting. We all can't go for Method Black, although that probably is a smart pick. However, Diabolus, they're a good team, especially in the Rogue Mage Druid matchups. They haven't had as much practice as Method Black. We actually heard that Method Black has been basically boot camping with Change My Mind. They've just been wargaming all the time. Diabolus has been completely left out. And the thing is, the fact that Diabolus has been left out of that and still making it so close against Method Black, even with limited practice, really kind of speaks volumes. We'll have to see what they can get done here today. Right now, there's a good start over onto Alec. Full blind on Chaz. He trinkets out immediately. Doesn't want to fall behind. Kidney shot over onto Raikou with his Icy Veins, getting denied some damage. But now, looking to get the pressure rolling onto Alec.
Both mages just casting frostbolts at each other. Raikou appears to be the one falling behind on momentum, but Asgarath is interrupted, so it could be an opportunity for Method Black. Waz is going to initiate crowd control, but his team needs to follow up, and they can't. Nixie denies both of the members of Method Black's follow-up, now stunning Raikou for a moment, but Temporal Shield is active. Unlikely that we see Diabolus with enough damage here to kill through that Temporal. Raikou going to bounce back into the fight. Now looking to counterattack. Blind initiated onto Asgarath, and he is trying to sit through it, which can be a risky gamble. Polymorph secured. Asgarath's going to respect that, trinketing the Polymorph, as he cannot stay out of the game for that long of a period of time without likely having to use an Ice Block on Alec. Raikou now the target. They're bursted fairly low. Iron Bark active and Cyclone. Nice play by Asgarath.
Yeah, that's a very nice play by Asgarath in that situation. Raikou does manage to still stay alive. Chaz is going to be able to keep him alive. We'll have to see. There's the bash. Kitty shot on Raikou. He's going to be in some trouble.
Yeah, full Ring of Frost here onto Chaz, though. Raikou could potentially be forced into the first Ice Block. Temporal Shield, Gladiator Safeguard, full counterspell secured here. Asgarath looking for the clone. Unfortunately, not able to find it, and now Chaz is trying to reverse the pressure. Nice low Cyclone on that Temp Shield. Is Chaz going to get the clone here, though? Asgarath actually Shadow Melts away from it, and then line of sight's beautifully done here. Alec now getting Cycloned on that Temporal Shield, and I mean, you can see why these Druids are so good in Europe. Every single Temporal Shield is getting Cycloned. Both of these mages on such low HP because of the plays from these Druids. Excellently done here.
Yeah, and yet both the mages able to recover. We haven't had dampening start too much yet, so both these Druids doing an excellent job. Just kind of stabilizing. This is something that we saw last weekend too, actually. Chaz's mana is lower than his adversaries very often. He likes to kind of make sure that his partners are pre-hotted, very much a good play in terms of defense. It means that Raikou doesn't really have to trade out ice blocks ever in the early game, but equally, if Method Black doesn't land a kill, then it can come back to bite them potentially. So that's something we'll be watching, whether Chaz's mana pool is an issue at any point. Raikou just consistently topped off because of the way Chaz is playing. It really enables Method Black to be aggressive, and that's the way they love to play the game. They love to be the team going aggressive on their team, on their opponent, trying to force errors, and this could be one here. Good crowd control on Nixie and Asgrath, and they do force out that first ice block.
Well, going to be in an ice block. Still, it's not over yet. Asgrath caught into a Cyclone. Can they get more? That's the question. Method Black, what are they going to be able to get done? And it's interesting to see how these mirrors have sort of evolved into just a straight-up mage race. It's all about just controlling the enemy mage, looking for as much control as possible, denying the damage, and whatever team can do it better seems to come out ahead. Waz now caught into a Noah, that gets dispelled. Alec going to be in some trouble now. As you can see, Raikou spam casting. He's got the Icy Veins rolling. Massive damage. Asgrath responds with the Iron Bark. He's trying to limit the damage potential. Chaz actually sitting down in stealth right now. He might be recovering mana. If he can drink, this is going to be looking really good for Method Black.
All right, let's see how much he gets. Not too much. Asgrath still with the lead. That's unfortunate for Method Black. They are up one ice block at least, although behind on mana. Mana going to be more critical in dampening. Asgrath Bash, this is a good opportunity for Method Black to push for the second ice block of Alec. Alec is trying to defend it with Temporal and Polymorph on Raikou. Frostnova and Nixie not able to connect. Sorry, Frostnova on Waz and unable to connect. Alec taking control of both damage dealers exactly when he needed to with his healer in crowd control. Chaz now into a Polymorph. Vendetta is rolling. This could be trouble time for Method Black.
Beautiful swap here onto Nixie, and that's because he cloaked out of a Frost Nova a little bit earlier. Waz and Method Black here looking to punish that, but that was the Gladiator's Medallion from Nixie, traded out for the Smoke Bomb. Sorry, not the Gladiator's Medallion, the Every Man for Himself, which allows you to get out of a stun. So it's a 3-minute cooldown. It lines up with Smoke Bomb, which is a 3-minute cooldown as well, but Nixie doesn't have too much defense. He has his Vanish, he has his Evasion. Waz looking to try to get one of those cooldowns right here. Raikou now able to free cast a lot. Counterspell secured over onto Alec on Arcane, which means Chaz should be able to land his Cyclone here. Beautiful step, Shadow Step kick there by Nixie though. He's going to shut that down. Nixie now looking to line of sight around the pillar. Gets immediately sheep shotted there by Waz. Waz going back for that sap here. DR Kidney Shot over onto Nixie. Surely this is going to be the evasion. He trades out the defensive blind over onto Waz, but the Frozen Orb of Raikou is doing a lot of damage here. Alec trying to slow Waz down with that Ray of Frost, and Asgrath actually manages to keep Nixie alive with that Iron Bark, but that was a nice attempt here from Method Black. Gonna force out the defensive blind here as well, so that means Chaz can just trinket out of a potential CC chain.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see how these mirrors go. It was Mage versus Mage, then Method Black is first to swap it up, go over onto Nixie. Now Nixie returns the favor with a kidney shot over onto Waz. Doesn't really achieve too much though. Asgrath is starting to fall a little bit behind on mana, but both these druids still very even. Ice blocks available on both sides. You get the feeling that this one could go the distance. Both teams very much kind of struggling to break through. Waz actually has no evasion, no vanish, no cloak of shadows. Could be an opening potentially for Nixie should he choose it. He does have his Vendetta available momentarily. Cloaks offensively, wants to get damage over onto Raikou though. Honestly, to no avail. Doesn't seem like there's any crowd control available for Chaz. Maybe Method Black will reverse the pressure.
There is really good damage coming in from Raikou right now. He's almost doing double the damage of Alec in this game, which is quite surprising. Waz actually ahead as well, so Method Black is ahead in terms of damage, and you can kind of tell Alec is going to be behind on an ice block, but it's Raikou that's in trouble. Cyclone over onto Chaz. Raikou getting low. Safeguard procs. Can they shred through it? Alec gets Cyclone by Chaz. That's going to be denying his damage on that Ray of Frost. Now it's Nixie that's in trouble. Method Black actually switching it up. They're going to be going after the Rogue, really looking to punish the fact that he's got no Everyman for himself. He's got no cloak. He's got no evasion. Really just no defensive tools to work with in this situation. The question is Method Black going to be wasting too much time going after Nixie and allow Alec to sort of recover and recuperate in this situation? It looks like they're willing to take the risk. Kidney shot over on Nixie. Do they have any damage? Unfortunately not. Alec has just been controlling up Raikou so much. Now Raikou's into a kitty shot. He was completely denied on that attempt, and it looks like Asgaroth should be able to recover. However, he's got no mana. Safeguard procs. Asgaroth, the last line of defense really is that innervate. If he can top off his team, it's going to be looking good. But after that, he's got nothing left, Sid.
Yeah, and this is now the point of the game where Asgaroth's mana is going to be probably the game-winning factor for Method Black, as they do continue to push for Nixie's life. Asgaroth is not finding any opportunities to slip away and drink. He needs to constantly be healing Nixie, relying on the Omen of Clarity to proc and give him free regrowths. Other than that, Asgaroth is basically not able to heal currently. Chaz moving over to deny Asgaroth from drinking and potentially crowd control him with Alec in a stun. This is dangerous. This could be the second ice block, likely the last ice block for Diabolus in this game. Can they manage to net the damage? They are unable to connect for now. Waz finally making it to Alec, although City and a Frost Nova dispelled instantly. Gunning for that second block. Iron Bark available just now for Asgaroth. He's going to Cyclone Waz instead. Buying time for Alec to reposition away. Alec securing counterspell on Chaz. Big opportunity for Alec to counterattack, but Raikou is owning him on damage right now. Nixie tries to support by stunning him, but now they can't stop Ray of Frost. Both mages in trouble. Raikou just wanted to go for the block and play a game of chicken, but ends up losing the game of chicken, and Asgaroth regenerates a huge amount of mana. Diabolus stay in this game as a result of that play.
Nixie looking for the sap when Chaz is drinking. Chaz had to move away from that situation. Could have been really scary, right? Could have gone down there on hypothermia, and like you mentioned, that was Asgaroth getting a drink, and that was all at the back of Alec's icy veins here. Manages to free cast for such a long time, and that's because Method Black decided to go for Nixie. Nixie now has pretty much all of his defense available. Vendetta is rolling over onto Raikou. Ring of Frost secured onto Chaz. Asgaroth looking to follow it up with the Cyclone. Chaz as well completely tapped on mana here. Raikou might be forced into his second ice block. Chaz deflecting with that Iron Bark, potentially going to be looking for his own CC chain here. Gets a Cyclone onto Alec. Raikou caught up in that smoke bomb, but Alec is in a Cyclone right now, so he's not going to be able to back Nixie up with that. Chaz now in a Cyclone. Nixie in a Polymorph, gets repolymorphed on the Dispel. Now Chaz looking for the bash, following it up with a Cyclone, presumably right there. It's going to be landing. Alec forced to use his every man for himself, as Waz is gunning down for the potential second ice block.
Yeah, that was a beautiful preemptive Iron Bark from Asgaroth though on the Mighty Bash coming in from Chaz. Honestly, Diabolus just have a massive lead in this game right now. Their ice blocks are rotating up faster. They have the mana lead off of Asgaroth's fantastic drink, and it's Raikou who's feeling the brunt of the pressure. Second ice block now no more available for 4 minutes. Venruki talked about it. Raikou is literally doing 40-50% more damage than Alec currently in this game, but Alec seems to be doing a good job of just kind of kiting, playing out the slower game. He recognizes win conditions, really good icy veins, was able to get Asgaroth that drink. He's forced into the ice block though. Nice smoke bomb play coming in from Waz. This game still could go either way as we're at 35% dampening.
Oh, he definitely could. Raikou does get interrupted with his icy veins. He's looking to get some damage rolling, but Nixie shuts it down. Full kidney shot secured. Asgaroth's got the mana lead. Both mages, no ice blocks left, but like you said, Alec, in 40 seconds, he's got the cold snap, which means he's got the ice block, and he's going to put himself in a prime position. I feel like it's unlikely Raikou can last another 4 minutes in this game. We'll have to see. Nixie with a defensive blind, looking to just slow down Waz a little bit, looking to keep Alec alive for another 25 seconds. There's the full kidney shot. Raikou gets the Iron Bark from Chaz. Damage going to be denied, but without that safety net and a beautiful Cyclone from Asgaroth, it's going to be difficult for Chaz to actually top him off. Chaz could be sitting down for a drink right now, trying to recover his mana. Nixie moves in. Can he get the sap? No. Cheap shot. Asgaroth looking to follow it up. Can he get the Cyclone? Doesn't manage to find it, unfortunately. Tried to fake cast the interrupt from Raikou and did manage to do so, but unable to find the Cyclone. Raikou bought Chaz enough time to get out of line of sight, but now Alec's going to be able to just free cast on Raikou. And Chaz has no mana left. This is looking so good for Diabolus.
Yep, Diabolus looking good here in game number 1, managing to restabilize off the back of Asgaroth's drink. Alec still has an ice block to trade for this blind crowd control from Method Black, but when are they going to make the trade? Alec holds on for a little bit longer, trying to dish out enough damage to finally kill Raikou. This could be cross-kill potentially as Alec comes out of the ice block. Chaz stabilizes with Iron Bark. Asgaroth has his available. If this ends up going down to a Rogue Druid versus Rogue Druid, it would be quite insane. But there is too much damage, I think, for Chaz to handle here at 44% dampening. Nixie on target, counterspell locked down, and Diabolus are going to be taking it game 1.
Absolutely incredible. Diabolus, I mean, it looked like they were behind for a little bit of time in that game, but now they're able to pull through. Venruki, you've got a big smile on your face off of that one. We all predicted Method Black outside of him. Of course, it is just the first game. We're expecting this to go the full distance in terms of mirrors, but an excellent first game coming in from Alec and his team, able to take down Method Black.
Yeah, and honestly, it felt like Diabolus was on the back foot throughout the entirety of the game because of they were just so behind in terms of pressure, but I think Chaz did a little bit more inefficient healing, and also that big drink that Askerath got in deeper dampening. It just allowed Diabolus to claw their way back into the match, and of course, towards the end of that one, Raikou was just so far behind on the ice block race because they were going after Nixie a lot of the time here, and only now they're able to tie up those ice blocks, but that means that they're essentially one CC chain ahead here. Now it's Diabolus' time to strike after they have already traded. Chaz looking for a drink because he's completely tapped. Raikou taking so much damage from that Vendetta at the same time. Chaz triggering out of a bash. Alex securing a counterspell there over onto Chaz, and that is the game-winning play. So nicely done. And once again, Adrian, 2% off that 47% dampening marker. These mages, they like to tease you.
They're teasing me. 45% twice. Last week I was almost spot on, but now we've got this situation. I mean,
you were almost spot on?
I was almost for a long time. I mean, you had Guardian.
You went over.
You went over.
I was 1% over.
Oh, we'll have to see what happens this weekend. So far, I'm still over. Like, no one's winning right now. No one's winning right now. But, I mean, one team that is winning right now is Diabolus. And one of the things we talked about going into it was the fact that last week, Alec actually tweeted out after they lost their series. It went to Game 7. He tweeted out basically saying, you know, we weren't given any practice. We're getting denied practice by Method Black and Change My Mind. The two of those guys just kind of wargaming each other, giving each other practice and boot camping in preparation potentially for the summer finals. Now Alec, you know, he's saying that maybe minor mistakes here and there, they seem to have shored those up. They seem to have got the practice in, and they're really here to play this week.
I mean, if we look at the last 4 games these teams have played, it is 3-1 in favor of Diabolus, so they are getting better for sure. They didn't win the last series, but they started crawling back with almost a reverse sweep here in this series. They're up 1 point, and things aren't looking too bad, and that's kind of why I decided to go with them this time, because I feel like with practice, I mean, there's obviously a reason why Method Black and Change My Mind are boot camping against each other. They really do want to deny Diabolus practice, and if Diabolus can get that practice, maybe they can start beating all of these Rogue Mage Druids.
And I want to ask this question as well, Zico, since you've been in the European scene for a long time, especially playing the Mage in Europe. Is this something other European teams are guilty of? Because obviously in a game like this, Alec, he doesn't do the most damage in compared to Raikou. Raikou did outdamage him in that game, but people just consistently underestimate him and the teams he's on. When you talk about top mages, a lot of people won't mention him compared to Maro and Raikou, who's playing in this series right now, but there's no real reason why not. This guy's won BlizzCon, whereas those guys haven't, and they always are consistent performers at these live events.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like definitely, even the year when they did win BlizzCon, they were not ranked as one of the top dogs for that year. I mean, we had Method Triforce, we had, well, current Method Black as well. We had a lot of teams, even making a movie, which was Maro, Villet, and Ratify. They were all considered better teams at the time, so they kind of came out of nowhere, but they have been in the scene for a really long time, you know, and Alex definitely been holding it down on the Mage for a really long time. I think when you mention damage like that, I think it's just Alex's style. He has a bit more defensive style, a bit more control-based style, whereas mages like maybe Maro or Raikou tend to have a bit more aggressive approach to the game. Alec is more of a strategist where he likes to figure out ways to just put his team ahead despite of maybe mechanics or individual performances. So it's just a different mind to the game, and I personally think he's definitely up there. Yeah,
well, he's up there in this series. 1-0 Diabolus. They're looking to maybe, I mean, potentially the summer season could be theirs. If they prove to be the best Rogue Mage Druid in the world, then there's no reason why they couldn't take the summer finals. We'll have to see how it does play out. There's still a long way away as we are just one game into this series in the upper finals.
Yeah, it looks like Askerath's going to be tumbled down very early on. Method Black wants to get aggressive. Askerath could be in trouble. He's committed the Iron Bark. He's committed the Barkskin. If Raikou and Watts can stay on target, he could just fall early on. He still has his Trinket, luckily for him, but the damage is just continuing to roll. Asgrath gets out of line of sight, finally landing a regrowth, topping himself off. Really nicely done, faking out the blink or the shimmer counter spell by Alec, and by Raikou. He's going to survive that setup, and keep in mind he managed to hold onto his trinket, so not that big of a deal. Method Black not really completely winning that exchange.
All right, let's see if they can pull themselves back. Down the Gladiator's Medallion already here on Ruins of Lordaeron. An interesting map selection from Method Black. Quite a difficult one to avoid damage as the pillars are all very small. We see Chaz jumping in, crowd controlling Asgrath. This is a good opportunity for them to secure further crowd control as they do at the Ring of Frost landed. Temporal fades. Now the opportunity to push through for Ice Block on Alec begins, although likely the Gladiator Safeguard available to save him if he dips low, but he can't afford to get spell stolen on it. Gladiator Safeguard going to absorb the hit alongside the Ice Barrier, more than enough for Alec to survive, for Asgrath to get out of the crowd control. Asgrath now needs to make a decision. Does he Iron Bark to stabilize, or does he try and power through it? He's actually currently crowd controlling Chaz, so he fell quite far behind to secure that crowd control, but does ultimately recover.
Yeah, beautiful stuff here coming out of Diabolus, and Raikou again here, dropping a little bit dangerously low there, but Chaz is going to be able to keep him alive with that Iron Bark. And we can see now Waz and Raikou, I'm not sure if they're going to be going for Nixie in this particular game. I feel like a lot of it came down to going for Nixie, and a lot of it came down to Asgrath having that drink on the Nagrand game. So I want to see them go after Alec, keep the pressure going, abuse the fact that they have been doing more damage, but Waz taking huge amounts of damage here.
No.
He just go down, and he does. Diabolus with a huge swap there, taking down Waz in a completely unexpected fashion.
That was unbelievable. We talk about Method Black being the proactive team looking for the swaps and kind of almost say Diabolus are forcing them onto this mage race, but they come out with a massive swap. Huge play from Nixie. That was incredible. They kill him through the evasion. They kill him through the vanish. We talked last game, it went 40%. We're saying Alex, the defensive mage, they're the ones that catch fire and honestly get the outplay there on Method Black.
Yeah, we're going to have to take a look at that replay, but that was a really nice swap, and that's what can happen. I mean, these teams, they can go after the mage consistently in the matchup, but if the rogue slips up, he uses his Cloak of Shadows, he uses his vanish a little bit too aggressively. That's when a team like Diabolus, like Method Black, quite frankly, can really look to punish. So all 6 members in this match really have to be on their toes, and if you're not, that's when you can really look to punish those situations.
Yeah, and I mean, this was obviously a punish for that offensive Cloak and Vanish earlier on from Waz, but as I was sitting there saying, I don't want to see Method Black go after Nixie, Diabolus themselves go for a big swap here, and it's because Raikou has that Iron Bark. Waz has used his Cloak of Shadows offensively. They have the Kleptomania. Waz is completely overexposed here, gets caught up in the kidney shot, and they commit the smoke bomb to that one as well. Activates the feint after the stun. Gladiator Safeguard gets immediately Klep dead. Chaz gets caught up in that sheep shot with that Cyclone. Trinket's out, but he doesn't have his Iron Bark to rely on, and that was just a nice punish from Diabolus. They see that the Iron Bark is down. Waz doesn't have his defense because he's committed it offensively. He's been playing very aggressively in these matchups. Let's go for him and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, that was a huge outplay, a huge play in general coming in from Diabolus there. All 3 members on the same page with that one. It's so difficult to take down the rogues. That's why we see these teams just kind of tunneling, shutting down each other's mages. But Diabolus find the kill, and they are 2-0 up in this series against Method Black. Well, Diabolus are 2-0 up against Method Black in the mirror match of all things. You know, we talk about Raikou and Waz playing the rogue mage throughout the last, 4 years. They've been kind of dominating Europe, always one of the top contenders, and especially for the rogue mage, the top contender. You know, they were previously going up against Wildcard Gaming, playing various cleaves, playing Warlock compositions with Warwick. Now they're actually being beat in a mirror by Nixie and Alec, and Nixie and Alec, they won BlizzCon last time Europe won, which was 2 years ago in 2017. Now they're back, and they're starting to peak just at the end of the year, which is the perfect time if they want to win that title again.
Yeah, and even in spring, they were kind of one of those teams that we didn't even necessarily expect to be making it to that tournament. But once they were there, they had a really interesting performance, made it all the way to the grand finals, where they fell to C9, of course, but still had the best performance out of any European team. They were able to reverse sweep Method Black in that tournament as well. So you gotta say, Diabolus is looking like they're on fire right now. It can definitely get hot in that arena.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? We'll have to see how it does play out. We talk about Method Black as this consistent European team. Maybe they have different iterations of the roster, but there's always been one team that challenges them. Every single season, there's one team. I think back in 2018, Radapai's team was normally challenging them with Maro, and then in the spring season, it was Wildcard Gaming. We were starting to say in summer that there was no one that could top this team, but Diabolus, the last couple of weeks, have proven us otherwise. And out of all, they are doing it in the mirror, which is absolutely incredible. Alec, Askarov, and Nixie really looking good here. Method Black, you know, they're going to want to go into the summer finals as very much the dominant team if they feel confident. I mean, I played with Riker. I used to compete with him. I know his mentality. He always wants to feel like he's the top dog going into a live event. It really affects him. And if Diabolus are beating them in mirrors for the last couple of cups here, that would be the worst case scenario for this team.
I wonder what Swapsy thinks right now. He's just sitting down, watching Method Black lose these games, but I'm sure he believes in his team. I mean, Method Black has had such success with this composition. The last, 4 cups, they have really looked like the best Rogue Mage Druid in Europe, and you can't take that away from them. But Diabolus, at this point, there's nowhere to go but up in this situation, and for Method Black, there's really nowhere to go but down. So I really feel like Method Black, they have to make sure they're staying sharp. They're coming up with innovative strategies. They can't really get lax in this situation because that can happen. When you're on top, you're constantly winning. You definitely don't want to fall off, especially right before a big tournament like the Summer Finals. So they're going to have to figure out something right now. Diabolus, they're doing quite well in the series, up 2-0, which is kind of an unexpected result. Only one of us predicted it.
All right, Method Black going for the blind sap. Beautiful crowd control chain. Decent damage tossed towards Alec. Trying to get that first ice block, and they do manage to net it. However, they didn't get Asgrass Gladiators Medallion, which is usually the trade. Although now perhaps in the matchup, the Druids are looking to line up their Gladiators Medallions with Vendetta. Chaz didn't make that exchange. Alec is still a bit behind. Both of the mages being the main priority targets throughout this match. Raikou now being attacked, caught into a kidney shot. Chaz is Cyclone twice. This could be the first block force if they can stay on target. Cyclone now at low health, denying the defense of the Iron Bark. Asgrath following up with another Cyclone, but unlikely to be able to switch anything to Chaz. He should be able to stabilize. Raikou bouncing back into the fight. The one thing that I like about trying to punish the rogues when they're over-aggressive is that the mages can spell steal the Gladiator Safeguard and then spell steal it right back if the mage is the target. Whereas with the rogue, you don't have that. If the Gladiator Safeguard is spell stolen, you just lose the shield flat outright.
Yeah, well, there's actually a macro that would allow you to do that. But it's not necessarily the most effective one in these Rogue Mage Druid mirrors. Sometimes definitely good to use though. It's basically a macro that takes out every single healing over time effect with the Kleptomania and then cancels every single buff you have. And you're basically making sure that no one has healing over time effects for a little period of time. It's nice to do when the enemy mage is, low HP under pressure. So you can bet that both of these mages have that, but not always nice to utilize it because it can come back to bite you later. Chaz gets caught up in a hibernate into a DR Sheep. Asgard looking to get the Cyclone. Nixie with the kidney shot here, but Raikou with a preemptive temporal shield should be able to bounce back. And I gotta say, Raikou should have had to use his ice block right there if it wasn't for Ice Barrier just being so powerful earlier on when Nixie dropped that smoke bomb onto him. So Raikou still in trouble though. Chaz, no Iron Bark for a little while, but they're reversing the pressure. Nice Ring of Frost here. Asgard's gonna be trinketing out of that, and that is because of Waz's Vendetta. So Asgarath in this game is using his trinket and trying to line that up with the Vendetta of Waz rather than the blind of Waz, whereas Chaz is just trading his trinket for the blind of Nixie. We're gonna see if those two interesting little differences in Druid playstyle will make anybody have an edge.
Yeah, and I think it is important to talk about as well. Like you talk about the defense of Ice Barrier for the mages. We were playing some games, Venruki and I, with Peekaboo yesterday, and we said, hey, let's go mage in the mirror. And he was almost shocked by the idea. He was like, we always go rogue in mirror because the mage can't die. Why would you go mage? But I think the reason that the European teams are going after the mage isn't necessarily to kill them. It's to deny the enemy mage from getting aggressive, deny him from getting his setups, do things such as Kleptomania, play that mini game so that if they do Kleptomania the rogue offensively, you can get that jackpot Kleptomania, have the full hots on your mage, and it's basically kind of an attrition game trying to put the enemy mage behind. It's something that Diabolus have really been the team that have kind of I would say, drafted and sculpted this meta. No one can really beat them by going Rogue or Druid too easily, because if they do, they get too far behind on Raikou. And ultimately, because of that, they kind of dictate that like how these games go. They seem to be the best at this major race so far, at least in this series, and it's been working out really well for them. This slower paced playstyle is exactly what they want to play, and Alec has been doing a fantastic job of it.
Yeah, Alec always has really good defensive positioning. You can see Asgrath caught into a full polymorph. Well, guess where Alec is? See ya, behind the pillar. And as a result, Method Black are forced to go after Nixie. And this could actually be a little bit scary for Nixie here. He's got no cloak, no evasion, no vanish. Really no defensive cooldowns. But Alec immediately coming back, polymorph Waz into a full Frost Nova. Waz actually deciding to use that Cloak of Shadows. And this is a situation we saw in the last game. Diabolus was able to punish. In the meantime, though, Raikou getting really low. Ooh, that was so scary, but with good positioning, Chaz was out of line of sight. There was no interrupt available. Chaz was easily able to top him off with a few heals. Now Asgrath under fire as Method Black looking to just kind of change it up. They go after Alec, he blinks away. Now they go after Nixie. Asgrath's a good target, they go after him. So Method Black in this situation, they're not afraid to really mix it up in this game. Diabolus, they're going after Waz as well. Look at his cooldowns. He really doesn't have too much left, and it's really interesting to see how the game evolves between the Rogue Mage Druids. Now it looks like Waz, they're going to be focusing up on going after the Mage again. In this matchup, little tiny outplays, taking advantage of people who waste their cooldowns is really scary. Waz actually in so much trouble. Kleptomania spell steal, kidney shot bash, that's over. Diabolus send Method Black to the lower bracket. 3-0, complete domination.
That was a huge punish coming in there from Diabolus. Absolutely incredible plays. They went for, both healers were resetting their mana with the drinks. Chaz was slightly slower to the play. He went all the way across the map for that drink, continued drinking way too long. Sure, Waz had the trinket, but Asgrath there jumps into the bash, gets the DL stun, and they're able to pull through. 3-0 victory for Diabolus. I don't think any of us would have necessarily seen that. Even Venruki was, you know, saying they might win, but we were expecting a close series at the bare minimum.
Win, okay, don't try to discount me, okay?
Did you expect 3-0?
Of course.
Of course. Didn't you say you voted for Diabolus, so all of us would
keep it interesting, yeah.
Keep it interesting, I believe those were your words.
No, I really believed in them from start to finish.
Well,
and they're showing why.
Well,
the 3-0 definitely catches a lot of us off guard, at least. Maybe not
me.
the smartest, yeah.
Yeah, well, everyone isn't as clever as Venruki, but that was definitely a really, really nice performance by Diabolus. And they, you know, it's funny because Method Black in game number 1 tried to do the same thing where they punished Nixie for being aggressive, but on the flip side, it's Diabolus that punishes Waz here for being aggressive. No evasion, no Cloak of Shadows available, and he's a little bit out of position here as Chaz was going for that drink, you know. Chaz thinks that he's going to be able to stabilize, and this all stems from the fact that for some reason Diabolus just seems to always have the mana advantage. Both druids sitting down, drinking, applying pressure in the game by that. So it's a 2v2 Rogue Mage versus Rogue Mage, and Alec getting counterspelled on Arcane right there is going to allow him to dish out a lot of frost damage. Nixie with a lot of uptime here at Waz, preemptive evasion, but the shadow step behind Waz means that you can get that stun. And I gotta say, Asgrath, that DR stun, it's so hard to do when a rogue has evasion. You know, as a druid, you have to get behind the target. Same thing for the rogue. You have to use those gap closers, the wild charge, and that shadow step to get behind the target to get that stun. And Chaz, he just was too far away from his team there.
Yeah, and that seems to be something about Diabolus. Maybe they're not the most flashy in terms of individuals. Like, we don't talk about them in the same way, although I don't see why not, especially someone like Asgrath, just absolutely legendary on this druid. But as a team, these guys are insane. You know, these 3 players won BlizzCon. These 3 players now beat Method Black 3-0. And honestly, just incredible stuff coming from them. They will advance to our grand final, which will be our final European series of the day. And Method Black versus Wildcard Gaming is going to be our next series. It's something we haven't got to see too much in the past, mostly because Wildcard Gaming haven't been that successful. I think this is the first time as well that we've seen Method Black in the lower bracket the entirety of this season, potentially the entirety of the year, but certainly this season. They've always made it to the grand finals via the upper bracket. Diabolus, the first team to knock them down.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Method Black, they're probably a little bit flustered in this situation. This would be the first time ever. If Wildcard Gaming can knock them out, this would be literally the first time the entire year they didn't make a grand finals for a cup. So Wildcard Gaming, they're going to be looking to send Method Black out of the tournament, but you really can't bet against Method Black. These guys have been so consistent for so long. Like I said, always making it to the grand finals. It's going to be a tough order for them, but I think the Warrior Mage Druid that we've seen from Wildcard Gaming is looking really strong. Blizzo in particular, we need to really highlight him when these guys go head-to-head, because him on that Warrior has been able to put out so much pressure, deny lots of crowd control with those war banners, and I think if he's on point, maybe they can win the series.